Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the Joy Spot. You are in for a ridiculous treat today. But before I share all about our amazing guest today, first say hello, welcome. Let me know where you are watching from. Where in the world are you about to get inspired and uplifted from? If this is your first time joining the Joy Spot and first time meeting me, my name is Sherry Elise. My mission here is to literally spread joy in any way that I can. And I do that as a speaker, I do that as a writer, I do that as a host. And it's not to fix a problem in the world. It's not to, make you feel joy. It's to spotlight on the joy that is already there. So I'm excited to bring on today's guest. Hello, everybody. So great to see you here. So we have a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to dive right in and start to share with you a little bit about our guest today. Let me take that off. Here we go. So to say that Dr. Joe Vitale is a man of many talents and accomplishments is an understatement. To millions of readers, seekers, listeners, and movie watchers, he is the man who speaks to their fervent desire to enhance their lives. Dr. Joe is a globally famous author. He's a marketing guru, a movie, TV, and radio personality. He's a musician, and he's one of the top 50 inspirational speakers in the world. His multiple best-selling books, I don't even know if he knows how many he's had, but they include The Attractor Factor, Attract Money Now, Zero Limits, The Miracle, Anything is Possible, and his new book that is set to release this week, Unexpected Kindness. He's been featured on CNN, CNBC, CBS, ABC, Fox and Friends, and so much more, and also featured in the New York Times and Newsweek. Dr. Joe Vitale has been credited as the world's first self-help singer-songwriter, as noted in Rolling Stone magazine. He has had 17 albums released to date. The man known as Mr. Fire introduces people to universal laws, practical systems, and methodologies that provide an astonishing pathway to freedom from limitations and a means to achieve unlimited personal power. In short, achieving miracles. This man was once homeless, but today is a best-selling author who believes in magic and miracles. Let's welcome to the Joy Spot, Mr. Dr. Joe Vitale. Hi, Dr. Joe.
Wow, look at your beaming face. What a joy to be here. I've been waiting for this moment. Lisa, my partner, Lisa Winston's been bragging about you for the longest time, and you just beam. So thanks for having me here.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And thank Lisa for tugging you here into this world. Let's check out our comments. We've got Gloria from Melbourne, Florida. We've got Catherine tuning in from Hawthorne, New Jersey. We've got Bill here. We've got Jessica. We've got a lot of people. Oh, we've got Mom. We have to say hi to Mom. Let's say hi to Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Dr. Joe, I was really excited about this interview because your work is known to so many. And what I was wanting to talk about, of course, was joy, which we'll touch on. But after you gifting me with a sneak peek into your latest book that's coming out, Unexpected Kindness, I was so inspired by the book that we're going to talk a lot about that today. And, we'll get into that in a moment. But for those of my viewers who, I don't want to say living under a rock, but might be living under a rock, who don't know a lot about your work, I would love for you to share a little bit about the body of your work and really what led you here where we are right now.
Good Lord, what a
I know it's
giant, wide question. Where do I even wrap my hands around it?
Can I tell you something? When someone asks me that, I'm like, really? You had to ask me that biggest question? And now I asked you the same thing. You're welcome.
Well, it is a big question. I'm primarily an author. I wanted to be an author when I was a kid. And I spent 2 or more 2 or more decades trying to become a published author. And even when I did, it took a long time for the next book to be published and a long time for me to get any notoriety and to get anybody to pay attention to me. Today, I've written over 80 books, and yes, I've lost count. I don't know how many. Other people count them because I'm too busy writing them to bother to count them. So I'm really living my dream. It's my joy, to use that wonderful word that you like to have on your show. It's my joy to write books. I think that's what I'm here to do. It's my inspiration. It's what I'm doing to make a difference in the world. They come from my heart. Hopefully they touch other people's hearts. And I have, besides the one coming out this week, more books in me. I'm not done. So I would say that's the primary thing. I mean, I was homeless. I was in poverty. Yes, I was in the movie The Secret. Yes, there have been turning points. Yes, as I say in the book, lots of people helped me. But to take your big question and whittle it down to something manageable, I write books.
And incredible books at that. So
Right,
then let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
From when people first, because I know before The Secret came out, you had done so much work in the world. What would you say? This is a big question again, too. So, what would you
I love
say
it.
is the difference, or the man at that time in The Secret to the man that you are now? Where would you say?
Wow, I got chills with that question. That is a great, great question. Wow. You know, I was so driven up to and including The Secret about attracting and accomplishing so much in the world that I think it was almost a compulsion or an obsession. And during the time, this is something a lot of people don't know. During the time the movie The Secret was just coming out and people were noticing it and they were noticing me, and I went on Larry King twice, and Oprah did 3 episodes on the movie that were like infomercials. During that time where everybody was going on fire with The Secret, I was losing interest. I was losing interest because I had discovered Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian spiritual methodology, which I ended up writing 3 books about. In fact, I'll be writing a 4th book about it. And I was moving from the driven obsession, let's attract everything, to more of an inner directed, joyful expression of my spirit in a more relaxed way, more divinely directed. So I'm not dismissing anything that went on before. And I love The Secret. I said, God, if you haven't seen The Secret, go see The Secret. I'm proud to be in it. And whether I was in it or not, I tell people to see it. It empowers people. But The Secret isn't the be all and end all. There was more to it. And that's what was really happening to me. So before it and during The Secret, yeah, let's go out there and intend whatever we want. After The Secret, let's go out there and follow inspiration to co-create what we want. That was a big difference.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Because I think, well, I know you're not alone in the how people can feel like, you know, the accomplishment and the going and the getting after, and
Of course.
right, and to forget to actually be present and enjoying and being part of this moment and all that it is that you're creating.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I can get caught up too. I'm like, the next thing, and I'm like, wait, hold on, like let's be right here, right now with this.
Yeah. That's a great insight because, you know, I wrote a book called The Miracle a few years ago, and I told people, you know what the miracle really is? Because we're all striving for some sort of miracle, and we want something else other than what we've got. And I have no problem with reaching and getting out of our comfort zone and going for more. But the miracle is actually right now. The miracle is right now. The past is gone. We go back and reflect on it and think, oh, that was better than now. No, it wasn't. We complained back then when we were in the past. And then we think, oh, the future's going to be better. It might not. We obviously don't have control over it. Otherwise, we all would have prevented COVID and a pandemic. We have influence, but we don't have total control. That means the only power we have is right here in this moment. This is where the juice is. This is where the passion is. This is where the joy is. The more we can get into this moment, believe me, I have to remind myself of this all day long too. It's like I might want another deal. I might want another book. I might reflect on something in the past. But right now, everything is incredibly wonderful when we focus and appreciate this joyful moment. Mm,
Thank you so much for saying that. If I didn't think that I was already juiced up, I'm like, I'm holding myself down here
me
because
too. I'm about to levitate. Jeez.
let's meet up there. Uh, but honestly, that is when people ask me about joy, that really is where the joy lies, is
Yeah,
in this moment.
yeah.
And so that was actually because I can get caught up in, hey, I'm going to be talking to Dr. Joe and I want to make all of this perfect. And really what this was about was my intention was to just be super present with you
Yeah. Oh,
because
that's
that's where
beautiful.
the miracles
Can I
go.
tell you about a joy turning point in my own life?
Yes.
Besides going through the pandemic, I went through a divorce during the pandemic. Also lost my major income, which came from speaking and traveling and going around the world, which was all shut down because of COVID and everything. Also, my parents died during that period.
Mm.
Best friend died during that period. Family member attempted suicide during that period. So this did not feel like a joyful time. And I did profound work on myself. At this point, I know a lot. I've written 80 some books, so I have different techniques that are in each book. I know those techniques. I've
Mhm.
used those techniques. And I've also reached out to get help. And what it all boiled down to me is not only reminding myself to be in the moment, because when you're in the moment, everything's really fine. You might want it to change a little bit, but you're fine. You're breathing, you're eating, you're got a place
Mhm.
to live. Everything's fine in the moment. But it also led to a question. And this was the question I would ask myself before I would do anything. Is what I'm about to do going to be joyful or bring me joy?
Ooh,
And
wait, let me sit with that for a moment. Can you say that one more time?
I know I'm pausing for it to sink in because I actually wrote it down on my pad here and was looking at it every day until it became part of my everyday consciousness. And it was the question about anything I'm about to do. Even do I want to go on this show with you?
Mhm.
Is it going to be joyful to do, or will it bring joy because I did it? That's the question. Will it be joyful to do, or will it bring joy because I did it? A lot of people, especially when January came around, start joining gyms and then they go, I don't really want to go. Well, the question is, will it bring you joy in doing it? And for some people, the working out does bring them joy in doing it. Or if you don't really want to do it, will it bring you joy in having done it? And the question would be yes.
And I'm
So,
imagining the answer was yes to coming on here because 'cause you're here.
no, I said, no, this would not be fun. This would not be joyful. This would not be pleasurable. So I'll do it.
This is the most miserable experience of my life.
Yeah,
I
I wanted one of those. Of course, I knew this would be joyful. I look at your smiling face. Lisa raves about you. I follow you on
yeah,
Facebook at this point. So, of course, this is joy.
yeah, and well, and we all thank you. We got a lot of people here that are excited to hear from you, and I knew. I mean, you when I look at you, and I'll just tell you this, and I see your pictures, you're like when you say levitating, that's how I imagine you. You're just like levitating in joy. But I want
Pretty
to
soon I'm
talk
going to
about
start.
what'd
Go
you
ahead.
say?
All I was going to
No,
say
I was
was
gonna say
using chairs. I don't need chairs anymore. I'm just going to levitate in front of the camera. No,
we'll
go
hold
ahead.
you down. No, so I want to talk about your book today because this half hour goes by so fast and
Yeah,
there's so much. So back in the MySpace days, I don't know if you remember all the way MySpace, I had
sure.
this, yeah, it was like the first social media and it was my first time to be able to share a message with people. And I remember I signed everything off in the bulletins as kindness will save the world. And
Wow. Wow.
yeah, and it was just something that I knew. And reading your book again, though, highlighted and spotlighted. So Dr. Joe's book is called Unexpected Kindness. It is publishing this week. When's the big day?
Friday, which is Random Acts of Kindness Day. So I thought I'd come
Yes.
out with unexpected kindness on Random Acts of Kindness Day.
I might say that that whole thing between the special day might be a marketing genius at work.
I've not left my marketing background behind. It's still with me, and I still love it. It brings me great joy. So
Yeah,
I love it.
no, yeah, I love it. Well, so it brought me back to the people in my life. So Dr. Joe's book, if you when you get it and read it and stay here till the end because I've got an exciting giveaway for you. But what it did for me is it reminded me at 7 years old, just I experienced trauma in my life and I had to do have a court trial. And I'm sharing this because what your book has done was highlighted all of the people that may not, that are performing small acts of kindness or large acts, but in unexpected ways, in just ways that you did that aren't meant to be these big, bold acts. And in that courtroom on recess, there were two paralegals that were with me. I was 7 years old, and they sat and just played Barbies with me. And it was a thing on the scariest day of my life, though, that sticks out. And I always think, man, if I could have just met those paralegals to say thank you to them, to have brought me some sort of
Oh,
peace.
I
And it
felt
was
that.
so,
I have tears in my eyes. What a great story.
and
That's
that's what your book has done. And I just want to, and I want to say that because what you shared in your book were all of the everyday people that has had so much impact on your life, that did the smallest things before, right? Before you became the big deal.
yeah.
Share a little bit about your inspiration
Well,
behind that.
first of all, you just walloped me with that beautiful story that paralegals playing Barbie dolls with you. Oh, that is so touching, and that is what I'm talking about. You know, when Bob Proctor died last year, Bob Proctor was the grandfather of the law of attraction. He's one of the leads in the movie The Secret, so most people know who he is from The Secret or from his books. He deeply influenced me. When he died, the next morning, partly to handle my grief, I started to write a story about the turning point where he did something unexpectedly kind to me, which actually elevated me to the spiritual self-development crowd, because I was more in the marketing, copywriting crowd at that point. Bob kind of threw me over the fence into a whole new world. And because of that, I ultimately was invited to be in the movie The Secret, which of course led to a whole new world for me, whole new roads and opportunities. So I wrote this story about Bob Proctor. And then the next morning, I remembered somebody else who did something for me. And I wrote that story. And I did this every morning, not knowing that it would be a book. It was just my gratitude mornings. And then I realized all these people helped me before I was published, before I had any degree of fame or fortune. And usually there was no evidence that I was going anywhere. They knew I had a dream because I told everybody, hey, I'm going to be an author someday. And they more or less just kind of comforted me and went with the joke, more or less, that I was saying. But they did these wonderful things. Some of them were huge. I mean, I had said I was homeless at one point. I was driving a clunker of a car when I finally had a car, and it was misery because when it would break down, I had no money, not only gas money, no repair money. And there was a friend that I knew at the time, and he gave me his car. It was, even now when I think about it, it's like, who does that? I mean, this is
Ken did it.
yes, you remember the story. Ken did
Yeah,
that.
he's one of my favorites.
My wife and I, my wife at the time, Marianne, we were really struggling and we were really broke. And we would get up 5 a.m. every Saturday, collect all the coins we had, and we went to the laundromat. And we did that for 12 years. 12 years of struggle just to do the laundry at the laundromat. But the couple who saw us during those 12 years were an elderly couple. They were very lovable and likable, and they grew to like us. When I finally could get into a house, which is another story all by itself that's in the book, that couple bought us a washer. And this is huge. You're talking about people buying a washer is like buying me a mansion someplace. At that point in time, it was beyond expectations. All of these stories I started to remember. So I wrote the book and I thought, this is all unexpected kindness. And then, as I've been telling people, I've written this book for 2 reasons. One is to give thanks to Bob, to Ken, to Mr. Bean, to all these people who helped me. The stories are in the book. It's my expression of gratitude. The second is I'm hoping it ignites a joyful movement in people to do unexpected kindness for others. And it doesn't have to be buy them a car or buy them a washer. It could be a smile. It could be playing with Barbie dolls when a child is 7 years old in a courtroom. It can be the smallest thing, because here's the other thing. This is when I get on my soapbox. So you can leave
No,
now.
please.
I'm just going to take over. It's my show now. What I tell people is there is so much division in the world. We are fighting over not just politics and religion anymore, but any kind of opinion at all. People argue and they put each other down. We have forgotten, not totally forgotten, but we've lost track of the ability to be kind to each other. And I think that will save us all. Kindness can save the planet, if not the galaxy, because we all know what kindness is. It isn't a philosophy, it isn't a religion, it isn't politics. It is doing something from a human to another human. And when you do it on the simplest to the biggest level, it can be random, it can be unexpected, but you don't know how long that is going to last in that person's life. For me, decades, I mean, in some cases, 5 or 6 decades later, I'm remembering these people and they're gone. I've tried to look up some, many have died. And in your case, with the paralegals that helped you when you were 7, and you want to give them a thank you now, they just did an act of kindness without thinking of a reward, without thinking of payment. They did it out of the goodness of their heart. They saw an opportunity and they seized it. That's why I wrote the book. I want people to practice unexpected kindness on whatever level it feels right to the people around them, to complete strangers.
I hear you. I hear you. So much so that I felt that through your book and reading your book. And I'm just going to jump to this now because of what you just said, is that I want to challenge. I want us to challenge everybody to perform an act of kindness today. And I was inspired reading Dr. Joe's book that it hasn't come out yet. It will. What I would love is for everybody to go out there and do one kind act, come back to this thread, share what it is that you did. And every person that shares, I will enter you into a drawing to win Dr. Joe's book. I will get it for you. I wish I could get more, but I'm going to get that. And more importantly, is that you're going to send a ripple around the world of kindness.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Awesome. So I got so many more questions for you. So let's just keep going.
I thought you were done. All right.
Oh, no, I just got inspired in that moment. I got inspired in that moment by you. So what did you, on reflecting about all of the people that have been kind to you in your life, would you say that there was, as you were reflecting, an energy shift within you?
Within me, absolutely yes, because I became conscious of the abundance of love that had been expressed to me that at the time I didn't fully experience. At the time, I might have been a little bit in shock, but probably more grateful that there was a relief of some of the stress that was going on in my life. I mean, to get a car when I wasn't driving a car, to get the washer when Marion and I were moving into a house and barely could afford getting into the house. So getting a washer was a big deal. It was more like at those times, I felt a relief of the burden of making it happen. I felt a relief of the stress that I didn't have to work to make that particular thing happen. Now, as I relive it, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming because the gratitude crushes me. It is almost like I can't contain the thankfulness for these incredibly kind people who did not have to do what they did.
Right.
And then, I mean, I got chills going up and down my spine right now. And then when I think, there was no evidence. It was like they didn't know Joe was going to be in a movie. They didn't know Joe was going to write 80 books. They didn't see any of that. And even I, at that point, I couldn't predict that, let alone declare it or say it was going to happen. So they were truly doing acts of unexpected kindness to more or less a stranger who they didn't know was going to live the next day or go on to fame and fortune. They didn't know any of that. So when I feel that, it's overwhelming. You're talking about breaking down into tears. It is.
Yeah.
I can almost not talk.
That's what I honestly felt through the energy of reading the book. Then that's why I asked about an energy shift, because as you recalled, by the way, brilliantly, because you're an amazing writer, but I felt like I knew every person that you were talking about. You described them so as you talked about Andres in Thailand, and you talked about and you were talking about Miss Pruitt, and you were just sharing all of them and the small things that they did, but that made, as you said, such a lasting impact in your life. I imagined everybody that's here recalling for themselves all of those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, because some of the early readers have said that's what's happening as they're reading the stories of me expressing gratitude. They're remembering the people who helped them. And I think, oh, that's the bonus that I didn't even expect. That's the side benefit that I wasn't even going for. People start remembering all the little things other people did for them over the years. My
Yeah.
God, we take so much for granted. We're so caught up in world events and this bickering and this conflict and everything that we're not only forgetting the miracle of this moment and all the joy in this moment, but we're overlooking and taking for granted all the people who are doing nice things, kind things that they don't have to do. And sometimes there was a commercial years ago, I think it was for insurance, but it just showed somebody crossing the street and that person smiled at a stranger. And because the person smiled at the stranger, that stranger smiled at another stranger. That stranger went into their work and smiled at everybody there. All those people who were now smiled at went out into the world and smiled at other people. That's how unexpected kindness works. It creates this positive ripple effect that we can't predict, we can't see. And most of the time, we take those smiles for granted. And what I'm enjoying finding out is that people are reading the book and they're remembering all that kindness that happened to them. They're becoming aware. That will help them be kind to other people. Oh, so much good stuff. You asked such great questions. I'm going to break into tears. This is amazing. Help.
Help. But that was the power that I found behind the book, because I think that we all know, the pay it forward challenge and even the kindness challenge I put out there. But I feel like the real gift in this book is the recollection for myself of all of the people that have shown up throughout my life and did that. And I think that's when we will remember. I think that's the power, Dr. Joe, is that we will remember all the kindness that does exist and shows up at all times, not only in the darker moments, because that's when we notice it.
Yes.
I think that we could see that it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the power of your book, Unexpected
It's
Kindness.
actually happening all the time and every day. And it's average people doing what they are considering to be unimportant things. But yet those unimportant things are the unexpected kindness that makes the difference and can last a lifetime. We have no idea how far that'll go, but this is why it's so important. And all the people in the book, and there were lots more that I could have put in the book, but the point was made by the stories I did put in there. And if people like you are reading it and remembering all the action, the unexpected kindness done to you, then I've done my job.
So I think you've said it, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because I always like to ask this question. If you were given a microphone and you had 30 seconds to be able to share anything that you want and the whole entire world is listening, what is that you would want to share?
Why 30 seconds? Why 30 seconds? I need
Listen,
more than
I will say 15 minutes, but I'm respecting your time.
I see. 30 seconds.
No, you could go a minute. Honestly, I'm here all day for you.
My God, that's such a great question. And there's so many things that run into my brain. Somehow or other, I want to say, the right thing to do. So go do it. You know the right thing to do. So go do it. And that's my 15 seconds right there. You know the right thing to do, go do it. Then if I take it apart, I would say something like, there's an inner guidance system inside each one of us, and it's guiding us through life. We have free will, which means we don't have to listen to it. We can actually ignore it. We can do something else. That's what free will is all about. But what I've learned is that's actually the divine, or God, or the universe, or the source, or the cosmos, whatever feels good to everybody. And that is trying to help us. It's guiding us in our own life, but it's also guiding us into what unexpected acts of kindness we can do. In each moment, there might be something like buy that person a coffee, or buy that person a hamburger, or pay for the gas going into that woman's car over there at the pump. I don't know what it is, but there's a little nudge that's in each one of us. And I think following us keeps us on our divine path. And life is generally smoother and easier when we follow that GPS internally. So when I say, you know what to do, go do it, it's the GPS saying, go do such and such.
And you have that, just adding on, you have that since you were young. What I loved in your book, and I'm just going to say, is that you reached out to your heroes, to legends, like, because you were being called, is what I hear, that inner guidance that's like, just ask. And I feel like most people don't ask or don't go after, and that's why they don't,
Yeah.
have what it is that
That's another $1 million insight, because asking is really a secret to success. I have found that, generally speaking, there's probably exceptions. Virtually everybody wants to help other people. If you ask politely, courteously, professionally, being aware of people's time and everything, they almost always will say yes. And I did do this when I was a kid. My most recent example, because I found the photo he signed to me, is at one point I thought I was going to be the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. I'm a teenager and I'm just thinking big. And I hadn't met any real heavyweight boxing champions then. Since
yeah.
then, I've met Mike Tyson, and these guys would have killed me. But back then, I was idolizing them. And Jack Dempsey, one of the very early legendary heavyweight boxing champions, he was alive. He had a restaurant in New York. And I remember writing to him, and he wrote back. And he sent me this photo that he signed to me. I just put it on the wall. Lisa had it framed the other day. It's been in my scrapbook for 50 years. She had it framed the other day, and it's on my wall. And every time I look at it, I think about him, and I go, he was in a restaurant. He was busy. He was the heavyweight champion, the legendary early greats. And he took the time to write a note to me. And I can tell lots of stories. Some are in the book, some, that I can tell another time. But I have found that if you ask with respect, genuine curiosity, genuine desire, that people tend to say yes and help you, give you a leg up.
I found that here today by simply asking you to be here today and you saying yes. So thank you for that gift and for that kindness of joining all of us today, because I feel your joy naturally, and I know you're a human that goes through. So you know what I mean by that. We all go through our stuff, and no matter what pedestal that we put people on, we're all walking this same journey. And so I don't know. I'm super appreciative of all aspects of you right now, and for this book that I am displaying right here. We're going to put that up here. I put the website where people can sign up to receive notification when it goes live. There we are. There you are.
There it is. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course. Any final, I know I already asked you the last minute. I keep prolonging this because I don't want to stop talking to you, but any final things that you want to share? You have a weekly TV show, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a weekly TV show. I've been doing it for a year or so. It's called Zero Limits Living. And what I do is explore if we have any actual limits in life. And I'm taking in authors and speakers and notable people that I'm very curious about. And the show is at ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. You can now see it or hear it on 1,000 platforms, from Roku to Amazon Fire to Apple TV, probably anything you can name. But I put the website up so anybody can go to there and watch them. ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. So that's one way to get weekly inspiration. I think you put the link up there.
I did correctly.
I want to acknowledge you. You radiate, you radiate joy, you radiate love, you radiate enthusiasm, even in your social media still photos. It's your look. There's this aura around you that has a whole lot of energy. So whether it was Lisa endorsing you or not, I would have said yes, because I've been seeing this and it's like a moth to the light. I'm going to the light. I'm going to be on her show. And we are joyfully going to tell the world to express their joy and practice unexpected kindness.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joe. Like I will take that kindness with me forever. I want to encourage everybody today to not only give kindness, but to be willing to receive it. I know Andres in Thailand taught you that.
Yes. Huge.
Because it's hard for a lot of people to actually sit back and go, thank you, or this is for you. So, and you taught me that too. You reminded me of that at the end of your book. So not that I'm giving it away, spoiler. So everybody, join the kindness challenge. Go out and do something wonderful for somebody today and every day. Come back here, share what it is. Let me send you a book. Buy Dr. Joe's book when it comes out on Friday. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for all that you do every single day to lift humanity, to remind us of our goodness, our unlimited power, our unlimited limitations, our zero limits.
Do I have to leave now?
No.
I'm having a good time. I'm joyfully here.
So am I. We could do a part 2 at some point if you're up for it.
All right. And perhaps you'll agree to do an unexpected kindness and say yes to being on my show, Zero Limits Living TV, and we get to hear your story.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. I learned to receive today. So thank you. And thank you everybody for joining us today. Don't forget to share this with other people. Share the joy, spread the joy. There is a link between kindness and joy. We didn't get into it today, but I think you all feel it right now. So I think that's evidence of itself. So thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Now I just got to remember how to stop